On an ordinary day, everything changed forever for Alex. As he wandered through the familiar spaces of his childhood home, a locked drawer in his father's study caught his eye. The drawer held an air of mystery, a barrier between the life he knew and what lay hidden within. A shiver ran down his spine as he imagined the secrets it contained. What dark secrets lay hidden in that locked drawer? The anticipation lingered in the air, thickening as shadows of uncertainty loomed over him, hinting at a shocking secret life he was yet to uncover. The air was thick with nostalgia as Alex shuffled through the familiar confines of his childhood home. Each creak of the floorboards whispered echoes of laughter that once filled the space, now replaced by the haunting stillness of discovery. He inhaled deeply, the scent of aged wood wrapping around him like an old friend. But among those recollections lay an unsettling curiosity tugging at his thoughts, a closed door that had always stood as a barrier to the unknown. His father's study. What if your most cherished memories were built on a lie? He pondered, the question striking at the core of his reality. A panicked flutter in his chest ignited as he approached the door. Was it nothing more than an everyday scene to others? Or was it the entryway to his father's hidden truths? He brushed his fingers across the knob, hesitating just for a moment as doubt clouded his mind. Memories danced at the periphery, counsel from Michael, lessons shared, the strong arms that once pulled him close. Yet now they felt more like constraints, pinning him to a version of reality he might not trust anymore. As he caught a glimpse of the study from the hallway, a glint of metal caught his eye. There, nestled within an ancient book on the desk, was a small key. It gleamed in the muted sunlight, calling to him with an irresistible allure. Curiosity mingled with anxiety as he picked it up, sensing the weight of secrets that might lie beyond the barrier of that closed door. He brushed the dust off the key, feeling a strange sense of discontent and nostalgia wash over him. With shaky hands, Alex slid the key into the lock and turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a world lost in time and shadow. The dim light from the window flooded the room, casting eerie shadows that danced across his face, a reflection of the turmoil beginning to churn inside him. He approached the desk, heart racing, his mind battling whispers of apprehension. As he opened the drawer, his breath caught in his throat. Inside, he found photographs, images of smiling faces, strangers yet hauntingly familiar. Confusion swallowed him whole. Why did these people seem so close? Each picture was a reminder that there were parts of his father's life he had never known, fragments of a hidden story that felt as though they were shattering his world. Who are these people? He muttered under his breath, his fingers trembling as they flipped through documents that suggested another family. Each sheet, each photo sent waves of disbelief crashing over him. The warm memories of laughter and lessons learned began to twist into a painful knot of betrayal. The man he had idolized, his moral beacon, was suddenly shrouded in shadows. Alex's emotions roared to life, competing forces of confusion and anger waging war within him. How could Michael have kept this from him? The love and trust he had built seemed fragile now, straining beneath the weight of this revelation. The internal monologue spiraled out of control as he scrambled to reconcile the definitions of family he had held close to his heart. Memories of joy began to taint with the sour taste of betrayal. The bond he thought unbreakable now felt tenuous, threadbare. With renewed determination igniting a fire within, Alex resolved to seek answers. He had to confront the one person who might know the truth, his mother. What can I discover about the family I thought I knew? He thought, resolving to find the clarity that eluded him still. Gripping the key tightly, Alex stepped away from the desk, feeling the walls of his childhood close in around him. He took a deep breath, ready to face what awaited him beyond the study's threshold. The air crackled with tension as Alex prepared to confront the truth. He stormed into the living room, his heart racing, the bright sunlight filtering through the curtains, casting long shadows across the floor, mirroring the darkness pooling in his mind. The scene was familiar, yet everything felt out of place. His mother, Sarah, sat there lost in her thoughts, unaware of the storm brewing within him. "Mom, what's going on? Why didn't you tell me?" His voice trembled, fueled by a mix of anger and desperation. Each word felt like a jagged stone tumbling into an abyss of uncertainty. Sarah's expression shifted from surprise to sadness, her brow furrowing. There was a weight in her gaze, a reflection of emotions that had long been buried. The delicate porcelain coffee cup she held clinked gently against the table as she finally set it aside, symbolizing the fragility of their world. The moment hung in the air like a fragile breath, and Alex felt the enormity of what he was about to confront. With a heavy sigh, she met his piercing look. "Alex II didn't know how to tell you." Her voice quivered, wielding a depth of pain that echoed through the silence. "Your father, Michael, had secrets. I thought protecting you was what was best." As she spoke, the layers of her emotions unveiled. The sorrow, the resentment for Michael's choices, and a fierce love for her son that cut through the betrayal she had endured. It was all so complicated. I wanted to shield you from the hurt, but I see now that keeping things from you has caused even more pain. Alex felt himself drowning in a sea of conflicting feelings, betrayal clawing at his heart, and empathy wrestling for dominance. "How could you let him lie to our faces?" He shot back, feeling the sting of unresolved feelings burst forth. "All those years—" "Alex," she interrupted softly, tears pooling in her eyes. "It wasn't just lies. It was his life, too. There were parts of him I couldn't understand, and he didn't want to hurt us. I thought if I kept it quiet, we could maintain some semblance of a family." Her story rolled through memories like a heavy tide, grounding viewers in a web of emotional intricacies. Each word she spoke intertwined their lives, revealing not just a father's choice, but a mother's burden. Alex could see it all now, each moment they had shared, tinged with shadows he had never noticed before. A deep breath shuddered through him, the air thick with unspoken words. The truth felt both liberating and imprisoning, leaving Alex reeling with the weight of adult relationships. "Why didn't you trust me to handle it?" he whispered, grief-laden, with a newfound fragile understanding. Alex looked directly into Sarah's eyes, bracing himself. "Who is Emma?" That question hung heavily in the space between them, an urgent inquiry in a world already tangled with complexity. The camera lingered on Sarah's pained gaze, capturing the depth of her hesitance and the revelation that now threatened to break through. What would she say? The uncertainty loomed, teasing the audience with the promise of deeper revelations yet to come. Driven by a mix of anger and relentless curiosity, Alex stepped onto the cracked pavement, each footfall echoing his inner turmoil. The neighborhoods he traversed were foreign, their streets lined with tall, weathered trees that seemed to lean in, silently observing his emotional reckoning. As he moved deeper into this alien terrain, he felt the weight of his father's betrayal, pressing down like a storm cloud, darkening his thoughts. How could everything have been so wrong? With each twist and turn, the streets became a mirror, reflecting his confusion and hurt. The quaint house stood before him, its porch adorned with flowers, whose vibrant colors didn't seem to match the gray that enveloped his heart. He hesitated, a flicker of both fear and hope intertwining in his gut. What if this was a mistake? The thought haunted him, yet his relentless curiosity pushed him forward. With a deep breath, he rang the doorbell, the chime echoing like a countdown in the silence. Emma appeared almost instantly. She was a puzzle, familiar yet shrouded in layers of the unknown. Their eyes locked his, filled with anger and questions, hers a mirror of vulnerability that took him by surprise. It was as if they could touch the shared weight of loss between them, both aware yet unacknowledged. "Hi, I'm Alex," he managed, keeping his voice steady despite the tempest raging inside. "Emma," she replied softly, her gaze dropping momentarily as if the air between them was heavy with their unspoken truths. Their conversation unfolded like a delicate thread, each word a hesitant step into the vulnerability of their situation. "I know so little about him," Alex admitted, wrestling with his emotions as he spoke. What was my father to you? Emma shifted, her eyes glistening with a mixture of sadness and understanding. He was complicated. He struggled with a lot, you know? Our lives were intertwined in ways I never anticipated. Alex's heart raced, the realization crashing upon him that they were connected not just by Michael, but by the tangled web of their shared existence. What do you mean? He pressed the knot in his stomach, tightening. Emma took a breath, the weight of her words heavy. I think he tried to keep us separate, to protect us from one another, but it didn't work out that way. Beneath his anger, Alex felt a flicker of empathy stirring. This girl standing before him was not just a stranger. She was a part of a life that had been secretly woven into his own without his knowledge. Could he understand her pain? He realized that they both carried grudges against a man none of them could fully define. The emotional stakes crescendoed, layers of resentment peeling away as they acknowledged the complexity of their shared grief. It was awkward yet grounding, exposing vulnerabilities they never expected to confront together. The anger that had flared in Alex began to soften, exposed to the light of Emma's own struggles. Just as they seemed to reach an understanding, the sudden sound of a sharp knock at the door split the moment like thunder, startling both teens. They angered that thunder, startling both teens, exchanged glances, uncertainty painted across their faces. What could disrupt this fragile connection? The air was thick with anticipation as they both moved toward the door, hearts pounding with a suspenseful charge. Caught in a moment of disbelief, Alex faced his father for the first time since the revelation. The door swung open, revealing Michael, caught between surprise and hesitation. Time seemed to freeze as Alex felt his stomach drop, the weight of the moment settling heavily between them. It was a confrontation charged with emotions, like electricity crackling in the air. What are you doing here? Alex's voice trembled, a mixture of anger and hurt swirling within him. The lingering scent of betrayal hung thick in the room, and every unresolved word there passed loomed like a shadow they could no longer escape. Michael took a cautious step forward, his expression a complex interplay of regret and denial. I came to talk, Alex. We need to sort this out. Sort this out? Alex repeated, incredulous. You shattered everything. You were supposed to be my dad, the one person I could trust. How could you lie to me about who you are? His fists clenched at his sides, unable to contain the frustration building up like a storm inside him. I didn't lie, Michael replied, voice wavering as he struggled to find the right words. I hid things because I thought it was for the best. For our family. For our family? Alex scoffed, disbelief etched across his face. What kind of family has lies stacked upon lies? You think keeping secrets protects us? It just makes everything worse. Each word dripped with pent-up emotion, raw and unrelenting. I was trying to protect you, I thought, Michael began, but Alex cut him off, the pain of betrayal boiling over. Protect me? By living a secret life? By keeping me in the dark? Alex's voice cracked, revealing the hurt he had buried deep within. How can I even look at you right now? The barrage of accusations hung heavy in the air, their echoes resonating with every question unasked. As the conversation escalated into a tumultuous exchange, Michael's gaze faltered, revealing a glimpse of the inner turmoil brimming beneath his surface. You don't understand, he said quietly, a flicker of pain in his eyes. My choices, they were born out of love and responsibility, but they led to consequences I never anticipated. I never meant to hurt you. It doesn't matter what you meant, Alex shot back, the emotional distance between them palpable. Each revelation Michael shared felt like a chisel, carving away at the idealized image Alex had held of his father. You need to face what you've done. This isn't just about you anymore. The dialogue exemplified deep fractures within their familial ties, the complexity of love interwoven with betrayal. Both men stood at the precipice, poised on opposing sides of an ever-widening chasm wrought by hidden identities and unspoken truths. With each word, they edged closer to a precipice neither wanted to confront. Just as the argument reached a fever pitch, Michael stared deeply into Alex's eyes, the gravity of the moment piercing through their emotional entanglements. "You deserve to know everything," he stated solemnly, the audacity of his claim looming heavy between them. The tension crackled in the air, hinting at deeper secrets yet to be unveiled, mysteries shrouded in the fabric of their lives. The air hummed with unspoken words, a tension that seemed alive between Michael and Alex. As the weight of Michael's revelation settled in, Alex felt like he was standing at a crossroads, with one path leading back to the comforting familiarity of his father's world, and the other dragging him into this bewildering new reality. Doubts swirled in his mind like a storm, each fear threatening to unearth everything he thought he knew. "Alex, please," Michael urged, his voice breaking through the fog of confusion. "Just sit down. We need to talk about this." Reluctantly, Alex lowered himself onto the worn leather chair. The leather creaked under his weight, a sound echoing his weight. Internal struggle. He wanted closure, yet the very notion of confronting the hidden layers of his father's life made his stomach churn. Michael took a deep breath, the corners of his mouth twitching with uncertainty. "There was a time when love felt easy for me." Before his gaze drifted, lost in memories that seemed to tug at the edges of his heart. Before everything got at the edges of his heart. Complicated. As Michael's story unfolded, Alex listened intently, feeling like an intruder in a narrative that was meant for only one listener. The tale revealed a romance that once blossomed, rich with laughter and promise, but ultimately suffocated by the weight of unmet expectations and hard choices. With every detail, shadows of deceit and moral dilemmas danced around them, creating an intricate tapestry that challenged Alex's beliefs about loyalty and family. Michael's eyes glistened, emotion thick in his voice. "I've made mistakes, Alex. A lot of them. But it was never my intention to hurt you or your mother." Guilt gnawed at him, each word layered with a longing to be understood. Suddenly, the conversation shifted, deepening into an exploration of pain and perspective, the very essence of their shared blood. "You see, in my quest to protect you both, I may have caused more harm than good." The air felt heavy with vulnerability, as if the very walls around them were witnesses to their unearthing truths. Alex's heart ached at the admission. The generational dilemmas threading through the fabric of their lives, echoing in the choices they had made. A part of him wanted to reach out, to share in that burden of pain. Yet another part recoiled, fearing that this raw honesty might unravel everything they had built. "Can we really get past all this?" Alex asked, voice shaky with the weight of his confusion. Michael studied him, eyes softening. "In the complexities of love, what does forgiveness look like? It's not about forgetting the past, but understanding it." Just as Alex began to grasp the essence of his father's words, a muffled sound broke through the tension, a whispered phrase from his mother's lips, an echo from years past that sent a shiver down his spine. The words replayed in his mind like a haunting melody, urging him to think deeper about the family dynamics woven into this tumultuous fabric. The room felt charged, the atmosphere thick with potential revelations and hidden truths. Would Alex find clarity amidst the chaos, or would he descend deeper into confusion? As he wrestled with his thoughts, the weight of the moment hinted at answers just out of reach, leaving him at the precipice of understanding and yearning for more. Amidst echoes of the past, Alex wrestled with profound realizations, feeling a heavy burden settle on his chest. The weight of knowledge he carried seemed poised to unravel the very fabric of his family. Michael's voice broke through the fog, layered with urgency, as he passionately recounted the tangled web of love that tied them all together. Alex could hear it, a fervent cadence that underscored both the beauty and the chaos woven into their lives. "Love isn't just comforting, Michael asserted, leaning forward, his expression resolute. "It's complex. It can lift you up and tear you down. What we don't see often causes the most damage." The camera zoomed in on Alex's pensive face, shadows flickering across his features, mirroring the internal conflict unfurling within him. The echoes of Michael's words reverberated in his mind, challenging him to confront truths he had long avoided. In that moment, he recognized the dual nature of family, their shared memories, both treasured and tainted, curled around him like vines, surprisingly both comforting and suffocating. As memories from the past slid into view, vivid flashes gripped his imagination. He saw the warmth of holiday dinners, laughter mingling with the scent of turkey and pumpkin pie. Yet each joyful image was intertwined with darker shades, the whisper of secrets, the silence during arguments, the frayed edges of their connections. It became clear how affection could breed distortion, how sacrifices made in love could sometimes lead to unintentional betrayal. "Do you understand what I'm saying?" Michael pressed, sensing the conflict swirling inside Alex. His voice softened, revealing transparent vulnerability. "Every revelation isn't just a crack. It can also be an opportunity for healing. There's a way forward if we're willing to look at the truth." Alex nodded, though tensely, his heart thrumming in sync with the weight of Michael's revelations. It struck a chord deep within him, resonating with his evolving understanding of identity and belonging. The realization dawned that despite the pain these strands of connection defined them, it was not merely about the fractures that could threaten to pull them apart, but also about the bonds that remained, fragile yet potent. "Maybe forgiving is about accepting the whole picture," Alex responded, his voice barely above a whisper. "The good and the bad." Michael's eyes widened, the tension easing slightly between them. This moment solidified a turning point. Alex felt a flicker of clarity amidst the lingering chaos. He recognized that the path to forgiveness would be fraught with challenges, yet the need for reconciliation began to feel more like a possibility than a distant dream. But just as understanding began to settle like a fragile peace between them, the shrill ring of Michael's phone shattered the moment. Alex's heart raced, instinctively sensing that the call was urgent. Michael answered, his expression shifting from hope to dread in a heartbeat. "Hello?" Michael's voice trembled, eyes glassy with concern. Alex watched, anxiety clawing at his chest. What news awaited them? And more importantly, how would it force Alex to reconsider the fragile configurations of loyalty and love that had begun to unfurl in new light? The call's gravity loomed over them, promising to tear at the very fabric of the newfound understanding they had begun to forge. Panic engulfed Alex as the gravity of the phone call set in. It was a haunting reminder of the fragile ties that bound their families. His heart raced, the urgency of the situation compelling him to make choices that tested his very convictions. He glanced at Michael, whose expression morphed from concern to dread. The silence between them crackled with unspoken fears, mirroring the chaos that had swiftly seized control of their lives. As they rushed toward the hospital, each passing moment felt like an eternity. Reality unfolded with each beat of Alex's heart. A collision and accident flashed through his mind like a nightmare. It underscored the unpredictable nature of life, echoing the turbulence within Alex's own family saga. Every red light they encountered was a cruel reminder of the urgency of their journey, and each siren they heard sent a chill down his spine. The hospital loomed ahead, its stark walls representing a battleground for the emotions swirling within him. Once inside, emotional turmoil surged as Alex navigated through waiting rooms filled with anxious relatives desperately clinging to hope. A knot twisted in his stomach when he thought of Emma, her laughter, her kindness no tinged with the weight of a responsibility he never knew he would bear. He felt their shared history like a thread weaving through the chaos, connecting them in this moment of despair. Alex's mind spiraled with thoughts of loyalty, guilt, and fear as he stood there. Conflicting loyalties battled inside, him the emerging bond with Emma clashed with the shadows of family secrets, lingering in the corners of his thoughts. He closed his eyes momentarily, allowing himself to feel the gravity of the situation. It felt as if the walls were closing in, trapping him in a whirlwind of emotions. In a rare moment of calm, he found Emma alone in a small alcove. Her face was pale, reflecting her own turmoil. The sight of her stirred something deep within him, a profound clarity. They were no longer merely distant relatives. The weight of grief and concern laced their connection. He took a deep breath, approaching her cautiously. "Emma," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "Psst." Looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Neither can I, Alex. It feels unreal." Their shared vulnerability hung between them, a fragile bond in the face of overwhelming uncertainty. As they exchanged words, emotions bubbled to the surface, courage coursed through them like lifeblood. They began to share their thoughts, hopes, and fears, each confession drawing them closer together, knitting their hearts as they braved the storm that threatened to tear their families apart. "I don't know what's going to happen," he admitted, his voice trembling, "but I feel like we need to stick together through this. You're not alone in this fight." Emma's eyes glistened with gratitude, and for the first time since the accident, a tentative smile tried to break through the worry etched on her face. "Thank you, Alex. I feel the same way. It's hard not to feel lost." Right now, in this poignant moment, they sought solace in one another, their disparate family ties blending into an unexpected unity. But just as the tension peaked and their fragile bond began to solidify, the hospital's doors burst open. The air turned electric, heavy with anticipation. A figure emerged, breathless and grim, clutching a clipboard tightly as if it were a lifeline. What did they say? Alex's heart raced, dread pooling in the pit of his stomach. The impending news loomed like a storm cloud overhead, ready to shatter whatever sense of strength they had just found in each other. What does this accident mean for Alex's sense of family? The weight of that question hung in the air, eclipsing any hope they had dared to nurture. The hospital door swung wide, and in rushed Sarah, breathless and wide-eyed. The sight filled Alex with a trepidation that coiled tightly in his stomach. Something's wrong, he thought, instinctively sensing the weight of her panic. Her frantic gaze ignited fresh fear within him, each heartbeat drumming louder in the reality of uncertainty. "Alex," she gasped, struggling to catch her breath. "It's Emma, it's serious." The words hung in the air, heavy with dread, pulling his heart down into a tumult of confusion and worry. What happened? He felt exposed, vulnerable as a storm of emotions crashed over him, frustration clawing at his chest, fear squeezing around his throat, and a desperate need for reassurance. Next to him, Michael stood silently, his expression a mirror of Alex's own inner turmoil, an emotional conflict displayed in the way he clenched his fists, balancing sympathy for Emma with the strain of their shared history. "It's the accident," Sarah continued, her voice barely above a whisper now. "Her family, they don't know if she's going to pull through." Each syllable felt like a knife, carving deeper into their already fragile understanding of what was at stake. Guilt washed over Alex in waves, the weight of it pushing him further down into despair. "We should have been there for her," he thought, anxiety coiling tighter with every realization that dawned on him. Michael's eyes flickered from Alex to the ground, and for a brief moment, their shared pain sparked a flicker of understanding. Beneath their own shared grief lay a growing recognition of their intertwined destinies, tangled together like threads of a fraying rope. "Emma needs us," Alex said finally, breaking the silence that had swallowed them whole. The urgency of his voice solidified the moment. It demanded action, forging an unspoken bond between him and Michael. "Yeah," Michael responded, his voice low yet steady. "What can we do?" The question carried a weight of responsibility, a challenge laid bare as they confronted the reality of their situation. In this emotionally charged atmosphere, guilt and compassion wove into conversations fanned with urgency. They felt the echoes of familial responsibility resounding in Alex's mind. What if we fail her again? The thought lingered, restless, yet each of their words bore the burden of accountability, a frantic scramble to piece together their fractured sense of family. Alex's heart ached with an undeniable yearning for forgiveness, not just from Emma, but from himself and each other. It was a poignant exploration of strength and vulnerability, the two brothers slowly bridging the divides that had long separated them. "Together," Alex murmured, his voice steadier now. "We can do this together." Just as they began to process their joint grief, a critical decision loomed ahead. The air crackled with palpable tension, teasing the audience with the weight of an impending resolution that might forever alter Alex's path and their family legacy. What critical choice does Alex now face? The thought echoed loudly in the silence, leaving viewers breathless with anticipation, eager to uncover how the tangled threads of love, loyalty, and responsibility would weave into their next chapter. As Alex stood at the precipice of this life-altering revelation, a question loomed larger than any before. How would one navigate the complexities of love and truth if faced with a revelation like his? The weight of it settled heavily in his chest, making it hard to breathe. Each thought swirled like a tempest in his mind. He had known his father as a pillar of strength and reliability, and yet this secret life shattered that image into countless pieces, leaving only uncertainty in its wake. Alex shook his head, trying to clear the confusion that threatened to drown him. He recalled the comforting moments shared with his father, family dinners, movie nights, the way he laughed uproariously at jokes that weren't even funny. Was that all a facade? Alex felt a pang of betrayal alongside the tide of anger, an emotional clash he couldn't quite reconcile. His thoughts drifted to those around him, the friends and family who relied on the same stability he once did. "Why can't I just ask him?" he muttered to himself. But deep within, he already knew the answer. Some truths, when dragged into the light, can ignite more than just personal conflict. As he wandered through the memories, it struck him there was a universal truth. Every family harbors untold stories, some painful, others transformative. He remembered a classmate who had once revealed a family secret that altered his entire perception of who they were. That moment had echoed through Alex's life, teaching him the very essence of empathia, concept he needed now more than ever. "I can't just be angry," he spoke softly, as if the echo of his own voice might somehow provide clarity. "What's more important here, blame or understanding?" The question lingered, challenging him to consider the potential for transformation beneath the pain. With each passing minute, Alex felt an urgency rising within, a call to action that wasn't just for himself, but for others too. He realized he wasn't alone in this. "If I share my story, maybe it can help someone else," he thought, longing to foster connections based on shared experiences and truths. All at once, an epiphany washed over him. In the midst of turmoil, the strength of familial love could guide him through the storm. This revelation brought with it invaluable lessons about acceptance and growth. The love he had for his father didn't have to be overshadowed by betrayal. It could coexist with newfound understanding. As he sat pondering the changes unfolding within him, a wave of clarity washed over Alex. He had to appreciate the winding road of emotions that had led him here, the tears, the confusion, but also the potential for deeper connections. "Thank you for joining me today on this journey," he would later address the audience, a soft smile breaking through the clouds of uncertainty. "Embrace your journey towards understanding, for it's through life's complexities that we often find our truest selves." He felt the warmth of community within that moment, a quiet hope sparking a flame of resilience. With that final reflection, he knew the only way forward was to face the truth head-on. The journey wouldn't be easy, but it would lead to something profound, perhaps even to the truth of himself.